Today's story has a mind-blowing ending, so stick around to the end so you can find out what happens. If you're a fan of the strange and unexplained, go ahead and hit subscribe and ring the bell so you get all notifications when I upload new videos to my new YouTube channel. I'm going to try and upload 2 to 3 videos a week. If I can find the time, I'm going to upload more. But be sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get all notifications for my new videos. Today's story is coming out of a little town called Millstadt, Illinois. Now, Millstadt, Illinois is pretty much in the center of the United States. Millstadt has around 4,000 people that live in the town. But most people wouldn't even know Millstadt existed until this happened to Ashley Reeves. In 2006, Ashley Reeves was a 17-year-old high school student who lived with her parents and her younger sister, Casey. Ashley was a very good student, and even though she was over a year from graduating, she was already looking at what colleges she wanted to go to and what she wanted to study when she got there. Ashley was overall a very good person. She had a tremendous smile, and she also had quite a few friends. Now, Ashley had a boyfriend. Her boyfriend's name was Jeremy, and Jeremy also attended the same school that Ashley went to. And things between Ashley and Jeremy were pretty serious. And her parents absolutely adored him. On the morning of Thursday, April 27th that year, it seemed like every other morning, Ashley would get up, she would get dressed alongside of her sister, and then they would head off to school. On the morning of Thursday, April 27th that year, it seemed like every other morning, Ashley would wake up, she would get dressed alongside of her sister, and then they would head off for school. But this particular morning, Ashley would tell her parents before they headed off for school that right after school she had a job interview, and right after the interview she was going to go play basketball with some friends. Ashley's parents would say, okay, good luck with your interview, have fun playing basketball with your friends, but please be home by curfew. Now, her curfew was at 10:30 p.m. every night. Ashley would then say, okay, I'll see you tonight, and then she left. That day after school, Ashley would make her way to Jeremy, and Jeremy would hand her the keys to his vehicle. Jeremy had a nice little SUV that he was going to let her borrow so she could go to her job interview and then she could go play basketball with her friends. She would take the keys from Jeremy, she would give him a big hug, and she would say, oh my God, thank you so much. She would then make her way down the hallway and she would find her sister. Once she found her sister, they would both make their way to the student parking lot to find Jeremy's SUV. They would both climb in, and then Ashley would proceed to drive them to their house. Once they would arrive at home, Casey would climb out of the vehicle and she would say, see you later, and then Ashley would proceed to drive to Fairview Heights for her interview. Now, Fairview Heights was a whole different town. It was about 15 miles away. Hours later, Ashley's parents are getting very worried because it's 30 minutes to curfew. They haven't heard from Ashley. Something just isn't feeling right to them. So they would ask Casey if she has heard from Ashley. Casey would reply, actually, no, I have not heard from her since she dropped me off from school. They would tell Casey, hey, it's no big deal, we'll just call her. So they get the phone, they dial the number, and they call her. Ashley doesn't pick up. So they send her multiple text messages, no replies. So after about an hour of no reply, they decide to call Jeremy. And when they spoke to Jeremy, Jeremy would in turn tell them, no, I haven't spoken with her since I gave her the keys to my SUV. And I've been trying to call her and I've been trying to text her, but I haven't got any response whatsoever. And so Ashley's parents are at this point, they are very, very, very worried. So as soon as they hang up the phone with Jeremy, they start calling a number of other friends of Ashley's to see if they knew exactly what had been going on with Ashley and why she's not answering the calls or answering the text. But all of her friends that she had spoken to all had the same story. No, we haven't seen Ashley since we all got out of school, and she's not returning her calls and she's not returning her text. We have no idea where she's at. So at this point, Ashley's mother just knows that something terrible has happened to Ashley. So without any more hesitation, she just got on the phone and she called the police. Now, the police in this town were kind of used to getting calls every now and again from parents whose teenager had run off. And the parents was always concerned about them, but almost every time that the police would investigate, they would just find that the teenager had just run off for a few hours and they were blowing off their friends and their family. And they would always pop up a couple of hours later and they was totally unharmed. They was just out ignoring their friends and their family, just trying to rebel. But the Millstadt police would later say that whenever they talked to Ashley's mother on the phone, that they could hear the fear in her voice, and that fear was completely real. And that pushed the police to take this case very seriously. And so that night, right after the phone call with Ashley's mother, the police went out in full force trying to locate Jeremy's SUV. And the first place the police went and looked was Latterman Park, which is a very public park that has a very good basketball goal that a lot of teenagers would go to all the time. And Ashley was known to go to this park a lot. The park was located about in between Fairview Heights, where she had her interview that day, and Millstadt, where she lived. So they go to Latterman Park, and right away, they find Jeremy's SUV sitting in the parking lot. But Ashley is not inside the car. Ashley's nowhere around the car. And whenever the police search the inside of the car, they don't find anything of importance. All they find is a couple of Ashley's clothes just lying in the car. The police spend all night and most of the next morning searching Latterman Park for Ashley, just looking for any kind of sign that Ashley may be around in the general area. They find nothing. So after searching and searching and searching for hours into the night and hours into the morning, they finally suspect that foul play might be involved. And so the first person they brought into the station for questioning was Ashley's boyfriend, Jeremy. But as soon as he sat in the interrogation room, he showed real concern for Ashley. And he had a rock-solid alibi. And he was basically an open book, so they immediately ruled him out as a suspect. And then the police started bringing in all of Ashley's friends, her acquaintances, and all of her family. Basically, anybody that Ashley knew, they were bringing to the station. They was trying to get any kind of help that they could get to try and find where Ashley was. But most importantly, the police were really trying to find if any of these people were trying to hide something. And bam, a few of these people that they brought in actually were hiding something. According to Ashley's closest friends, Ashley was actually in 2 romantic relationships. One relationship was the public relationship that she had with Jeremy, and the other relationship was a big, big secret. So much of a secret, it was illegal. So, in order to hide this illegal relationship, Ashley would tell her friends and her family that she was going to the park to play basketball, when in reality, she was going to the park to meet up with her second partner. And the day before Ashley went missing, her friends told the police that that was the exact reason why Ashley was going to Latterman Park, was to meet up with her secret partner. The police got the name of the secret person from Ashley's friends. His name was Sam Shelton. And the police tracked him down. Whenever they found him, he was at baseball practice. But the police did not care that he was at baseball practice. They went right out there on that field and they grabbed him and they took him back to the police station. They sat him down in the police interrogation room. He was still wearing his baseball uniform and all. And they began to ask him about him and Ashley's relationship. But he immediately denies it. He says he does not have a relationship with Ashley. He don't even know why he's in the interrogation room. He don't know why the police came and got him. He hasn't done nothing. He doesn't have a relationship with Ashley. Nothing.
I really do not know where she is. I have no idea.
But fairly quickly, Sam's answers become inconsistent. So the police tighten the pressure up on him. But finally, after 12 hours of the interrogation, the interrogator brings up Sam's mother and his grandmother. And he says to Sam, how would they feel if they knew that you was lying to the police right now? This completely broke Sam. He folded like a lawn chair. And at this point, the police was already expecting the worst when it came to Ashley. But they were not ready for just how bad it was about to be. Sam was about to confess and give all the details, detail by detail, exactly what he did to Ashley. The following information is based on Sam's actual confession to the police. 30 hours prior to his confession, Ashley wrapped up her interview in Fairview Heights and made her way to Latterman Park to meet up with Sam. Now, it's not exactly set in stone of how they met, but they would eventually meet up. The two of them would climb in Sam's car, where they would become intimate. Afterwards, they were both sitting in the front seat of the car, Ashley in the passenger seat, and for some reason there's a huge fight between the two of them. And at some point, Sam tells Ashley to get out of the car, but Ashley refuses because she wants to talk to him. She wants to deal with their issues, but Sam's not having it. Sam gets so mad at her that he lunges across the center console of the car and he puts her in a vicious chokehold. Now, he tells the police that his plan was just to grab her and yank her out of the car. But when he grabbed her, he squeezed so hard he said he heard a popping sound coming from her neck. This was the sound of her neck breaking. As soon as he heard the sound, he let go, and Ashley kind of crumpled forward and hit the dash. So now Sam is just sitting here staring at her, kind of looking around nervously, wondering what he should do, wondering if somebody's seen what he did. And so Sam reached over and lifted her back up to see if she was still alive. And he was very surprised to see that Ashley was still alive. But instead of trying to get her help, he decides right then and there that he is going to kill her. So he reaches over and he starts choking her. But after several minutes of him choking her, she just wouldn't die. So Sam decides he's going to take his belt off and he wraps it around Ashley's neck and he begins pulling on it. But he told police that he just couldn't stand looking at her while he was doing this to her. She was staring at him. Her face was turning gray-blue. Her tongue was hanging out. She couldn't breathe. She was making weird noises. And at some point, when she still hadn't died, he released the belt from around her neck. And he turned her body away from him. She was looking out the window away from him. And he repositioned the belt on her neck. And then he puts his foot on the back of her neck so he could get more leverage. And he's pulling and he's pulling. And his foot's on the back of her neck. And he's pulling as hard as he could pull until the belt actually breaks from around her neck. And at this point, he checks to make sure that she is actually dead. And when he confirms that she is dead, he stuffs her down in the passenger side floorboard. And then he begins to drive several miles across town to a whole different park. The park he drives to is called Citizens Park. This park is surrounded by woods. Anywhere you look in the park, it's woods. And when he finally arrives at Citizens Park, he looks around, makes sure nobody's watching him. He pulls her out of the car and he begins to drag her body deep into the woods. And that's where he leaves her. Now, Ashley wasn't the only female in the area that thought Sam Shelton was attractive. Actually, a lot of women thought that Sam Shelton was attractive, thought he was the perfect catch. He was very handsome. He had beautiful blue eyes that people couldn't help but just to stare at. But there was something completely different about Sam that made him really unique from all the other guys at the school. Sam wasn't a student. He was actually a 27-year-old middle school teacher, and he was also the high school's baseball coach. Now, Sam had never been Ashley's teacher directly, but however, when Ashley was in middle school, Sam had begun grooming her for exploitation. So fast forward to 2006 when Ashley was 17 years of age, Sam had already completely manipulated her into thinking that he and her was in a serious romantic relationship. But in reality, he was just using his position of power to satisfy his desires and abuse her. Not only was Sam a school teacher and a baseball coach, he was actually an aspiring pro wrestler. He would often compete in local showcases using the nickname The Teacher. But Sam was nowhere near good enough to actually be a professional wrestler like you see on TV. Now, Sam was actually really strong and he really knew how to do a really good chokehold. So whenever he put Ashley in a vicious chokehold that he put her in, she had no chance of escaping. After his confession, he told the police that he would take them out into the woods of Citizens Park and help them find Ashley's body. But whenever they got to Citizens Park, it had been raining all day and it was really late, and Sam immediately started acting like he didn't know where he left her. So the police really started to think, hey, do you think he's actually lying to us? Is this whole thing kind of made up? Do you think he really attacked her? Do you think she's really out here somewhere? But after about 30 minutes of the police and Sam walking around the thick forest, one of the officers noticed something up ahead on the ground. He raises his flashlight up and shines it up ahead, and in a little clearing up ahead is Ashley's body. So the police and Sam walk over to her, and they're standing above her body, and her neck is completely broken and bent out of whack. You could tell just by looking at it. She's completely covered in insects and has insect bites all over her body. And as they're standing there looking at her, one of the officers notice Ashley's chest is moving. Ashley was not dead. She was left for dead. She has been in the same position for 30 hours. Her neck is broken. It's freezing cold. It's raining. The bugs are biting her non-stop. All she has on is a t-shirt and some pants. But she is alive. Moments later, the paramedics arrive and they gently bring her out of the woods and they rush her to the hospital where she would be placed in a medically induced coma. Now, the doctors would tell her family that they're not sure if that she'll ever wake up again because her injuries were so bad, but soon she would wake up. She would make a full recovery. She'll have to learn how to walk and talk and eat and drink again. Today, Ashley is 32 years old. She is happily married. She has 2 children, and she lives a normal and she lives a happy life. As far as Sam Shelton goes, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison for attempted murder. He's still in prison today, but he's up for parole this year. Well, that's it for today's video, guys. I really appreciate y'all letting me tell y'all Ashley's story. If you're a fan of the strange and unexplained, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. We will be posting videos 2 or 3 times weekly. If I have time, I'm going to post more. But until then, hit the sub button, hit the like button, and I appreciate y'all. I'm out.